Thank you so much, Bilal Saab, for providing opportunity to speak to the young people. And it's wonderful to be with the colleagues from varied backgrounds. Dr. Akhtar Alisha, uh, my friend and colleague from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And it's wonderful to be here. And I really like the topic. I think this is a polarization and social divisions and national security. And so I think there is a lot need to develop a dialogue on it. As you talked about the book writing, I think that's double edge, benefit to have a book and our students they read and young people. And I think they think about things. What you're talking about, it seems like that we are going with the flow. Nobody's thinking about anything. So, what little 12 minutes, this alarm that I had on the mind too. So, what little I have jotted down, and that is about, Pakistan, we consider is a beautiful country, blessed with ethnic and national and political and lots of diversities and that exist in Pakistan, and we are so proud of it, and we cherish our heritage. But this is what we're talking about, the good times, when there are good times, and then these are something that we cherish about. And when there are bad times and they are the worst that happen to the country, this lead to divisions and this lead to polarization that we are in at this point of time. When I, as a historian, when I thought about it, and I come to know that we are all the time, since our inception as a country, we are in transition. And as you know, transition is the parallel of stability, uh, that lead to progress, that lead to the nation, the country, that development. So that is a parallel word. That is a parallel journey in the process that we have been. The only difference that I noticed all through the decade, that is that sometimes the transition is a bit mild, and other time the transition is very hard. Right now we are going through the hard transition. Earlier we were into the hard transition. So how come we come out of this transition through this multiplicity, this variance, and this, kind of uh, political and economic and all these kind of uh, inclusivity. What were the mitigation factors? We gone through lots of political and economic crises and challenges even at that time. Till 1971, we had this political and this, constitutional dilemma of the country. The country didn't have a accepted uh, mutually accepted constitution and a system of government. So we had this polarization on the basis of that. We fought war in the 1961. We fought war in 1948, just in the years of our 1 year after our inception. So there were, this transition, and there were challenges, political and ethnic, and we talk about East Pakistan, and there was this linguistic crisis were going on in the United Pakistan at that time till 1971, and then happened this 1971. The eastern part of the country that was separated and emerged as a new country named Bangladesh. Right. So what we noticed that after 1971, we were more into emphasizing Islam and the ideology of Pakistan. The very hard and stark emphasis that started being given to the ideology of Pakistan and Islam. We just cling to it, and this is how we started moving towards this hard to be a hardliners. Islam become a state religion. It was before, but patronized by the state. 1979, that is the point where from this drastic dependence of Islam and then patronization by the state of a type of a version of Islam that had been patronized by the state, that actually took us from a moderate Islam into a ultra conservative Islam. And you see, all through the 80s era, we fought jihad against the Soviet occupation in Afghanistan. All the jihadi, mindset that been created. So all this is social. That was a social development that happened in order to support, to fight, contest jihad, the Soviet occupation in Afghanistan through the mindset of a jihad. And you see, this is what had happened, that by that we call it era of democracy after the 1990s, when the Soviet they left Afghanistan, and we found out, that our policy in Pakistan, whether they were political, whether economic or social, they continued as they were in the 80s. They have hardly been changed. So the impact you noticed, some of you probably experienced as well, that at that time, this the worst that happened to Pakistan was sectarianism. The menace of sectarianism we experienced, we faced in the 1990s. The last political government that had to be brought to an end, that was on the basis of it that they were not in a position to bring about security, internal security in the country, to guarantee internal security, because there was the Shias were hit by the Sunni, and the Sunnis were hit by the Shias. And this was this anarchy in the, it was an anarchic, chaotic situation in the country. So, this is how we ended up with the 90s era, and the dawn of the new century that started with the war on terror. We were in another international conflict right on our border. I remember 2001, I was coming to Islamabad, and that was early morning. And this Taliban regime, this military action was taken by the um, American forces against the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. That, you cannot imagine this border region, the people who are living in they were really hostage of this, security situation. I remember there was complete shutdown in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Peshawar was quite as if something, the life has been taken away from them. This was the situation in Peshawar. I remember that morning. 2001, October 2001. That was 7th October 2001. So you see, the whole 20 years, the international war on terror that was fought right on the borders, northwestern border of Pakistan. And Pakistan was a frontline state. Pakistan was a frontline state in the Soviet Afghan war, and so you have to bear with the cost. The cost is not only monetary, it is not only political, it is social, it is cultural. And you see, we talk about this lack of tolerance in the country. We talk about militancy. That's the right social outcome of this conflict that we fought so very close to our country, right on the borders of our country, right? So what had happened that, now militancy, insurgency, extremism, radicalism, it's something, they are very common denominators that is happening in this country. And now it's very difficult for Pakistan to maintain its internal security rather than to secure the borders. Securing the borders against the external enemy, that the military can do very well. But how would you maintain security inside the country with the police who doesn't have enough training and equipment and the money that's been allocated for them? I think we have left even internal security to the military. What had happened in November when the PTI mob attacked Islamabad? So military was called. The police was not in a position to, deter and establish security and order in Islamabad, like small city. And then the Rangers also, I think even Rangers doesn't, FC doesn't have that capacity in order to maintain internal security in the country. So I think these things have brought in lots of these insecurities, and they poses huge challenges to the internal and external security of Pakistan. What difference at this point of time I see as a historian, and that is that at that time, 1971 and 1979, prior to that, we had mitigation factors. We had the moderate version of Islam. What is the moderate version of Islam? Because we thought that religion is your private business. Whatever version you follow, that is your private business. The other thing was that, we believed in universal tolerance. We believed in coexistence, mutual coexistence. We believed to be at peace with ourselves and to be at peace with our neighbors. But with this radical version of reliance on radical version of Islam, that took us to the stage where you and me, they and us, them and us. There is this stark line between the people. The people who are following this version of Islam, they are the right people. The others who are not, they are not. They are wrong and they have to be eliminated. This kind of a mindset that I witness on daily basis in Pakistan, maybe you too, we are not accommodating, accepting each other the way they are. And what to talk about minorities? Minorities, probably in their view, they do not have the right to exist. No matter what, publicly we say that this is not our policy, and publicly we defend our governments, successive governments, that it's the human rights, and through the constitution of the country, we say that every citizen who is in Pakistan is the, has a right to be the equal citizen, and before the eyes of the law and before the government, they are equal citizens. Not they are different because of the caste, color, and creed. But actually, it is not the case. So the other mitigation factor, that was our education system. Let me tell you, because of short of time, I give you one example. In my 5th grade, I have this big social studies book, which has geography, a good proportion of regional geography, local geography, and world geography. It had civics. It also had history, which was the Maurya dynasty, which was the Hindu Shahi dynasty, the Sultans of Delhi, the Mughals. At least the ancient, the medieval, the modern history of this South Asia, that was part of the social studies. But now we have become so selected that I and myself, the selected between selected in, history that has been taught to our people, so become so shallow and so limited knowledge of the people that we don't think about other people, they exist. And we started seeing other people as rivals and enemies. That has done, we unfortunately had done to our education system. So education at that time was a source of cohesion rather than of division. Now we see the education system, especially the curriculum, that needs to be revised, that needs to be inclusive, that needs to be cohesive, so that people come together. We become integrated. As a nation, we become as a region and people of the globe, people of the world. So you see, this was the second thing. The third thing, which was the mitigating factor, that was about our foreign policy. You see the foreign policy of Pakistan before 71 and before 79 is much better. We had good relation. We consider Iran our friend of the friends. We consider even Afghanistan not that kind of a rival as it's become now. The biggest threat, I think, the military people would bear me out, but I think the biggest threat we face from the western border rather than the eastern border. Right? So I think these regional conflicts, this was a mitigating factor. And same with China. Look at China. China also sometime, the brow beat us. That then China used to be our friend. Way forward. Yeah, this is what we should do. I think that was a mitigating factor, but I think we should stabilize our civil institutions. Right? This is what my first thing, judiciary and parliament and election commission and all these institutions need to be strengthened. We have to, in internal security, I refer to that, the rangers, the police and the FC, we have to, put a lot of investment in them, and they've been trained and they've been equipped. And so their morale has to be high so that they could go and protect provide internal security, and then ensuring political and economic stability. Look at this populism that is happening in this country. The flow that has come. Everybody is taking pride in, getting the other down. That is the populism that is happening in this country, and we so much cherish it as leaders. I'm not talking about the young people. I'm talking about the leaders, and then making education priority. 65% of the population is comprised of youth. And we need quality education and we need skill learning for our youth, that they have to contribute. They should become not a ban but a boon to the country. And the gender, ensure gender parity. I must say that 50% of this country of population, the women, they are in their homes and they are not participating into the education system and into labor force. If you look at the adult literacy, 46% adult literacy of women and 69% of the men. If you look at the South Asia, other countries, Pakistan is at the lowest in all these parameters that I talked about. And the final one is balancing our foreign policy with the neighbors and with the international players as well. Thank you so much.